Welcome to Trulyfit, the online fitness marketplace connecting pros and clients through unique fitness business software.
All right, so we are officially recording. I'm here with Kai Evans. Kai, thanks for being here. And I know there's going to be some people excited who already know about you. But for those who don't know about you, why don't you give us the 411, the bio background on Kai Evans. Let's start all the way from the beginning. The first things you did in fitness, what got you here? Not just what you've been doing lately.
All right, well, first of all, I am so excited to be in front of your audience and be part of Trulyfit and everything you guys are doing. I think you guys are going to do some amazing things. And I think this community and culture, especially now where fitness is needed. So I'm really excited to be here. So thank you, Steve. Wow. Well, I'm almost 49, bro. So I got a long story. So I'll try to give you the cliff notes. I've been doing this a long time. So for me, fitness was never about being an athlete. It wasn't about having muscles or being ripped or having a 42-inch vertical. It was never about any of that. I grew up in an Eastern European home. My parents were immigrants. I grew up in Detroit. My mother was Serbian. My father was Macedonian. So it was that Eastern bloc. Like you're gonna be a doctor. You're gonna be a lawyer. And I was one of those kids that was scrawny and didn't speak English when I was growing up at the beginning and had issues with learning. And so my only outlet was working out. And it wasn't because I wanted to be bigger and badder. It was the only way I could really feel like I was connected to myself. It was about expression. It wasn't about the result. I didn't care. I would disappear in the basement, when I was having a bad day and I got bullied. And we hear this a lot, the bullying and all the stuff, being an immigrant, growing up in a city and, big city, Detroit, and the schools were tough. And so my outlet was working out, expressing myself. And then when I tried to get into sports, I was always picked on. I wasn't very good. So I hated sports. I hated it because I was always the geek. I was always the band guy. I was in the band too. So what happened was I started to really connect with ballet and movement and dance and expression. And so as I was coming up, I was infatuated with dance. And then when I trained, I kind of put those two together. And it was all about moving to express myself. And then I started getting infatuated with obviously weights and tension and what it feels like to get a pump and as a kid. So I was really kind of beat up pretty bad as a kid, mentally and emotionally growing up in Detroit. And my first year, I didn't even get into college, which was crushing to me. I got declined by everyone, which was brutal. Talk about an ego check, which I've had many in my life, right? Life just, you think you're that good? Boom. So I went to this Jesuit university, University of Detroit, and I was studying religion and philosophy. Man, I don't know if I was gonna be some kind of like preacher or something. I just wanted to like get my word out there. Because when I started to find out my voice, I was like, I got something to say. And it was all because when I was alone at home as a kid or felt bad about myself, I would go and do push-ups or do dumbbell presses, not to get big or strong, just because of the way it made me feel. I felt like I could do anything, that I was free, that I no one could judge me, and I was just dealing with myself. So when I woke up and said, yo, you better open up a book, bro. So I ended up getting a very high GPA and transferring to Indiana University. Hoosiers, yeah. Which has one of the top five. We were top 5 exercise science program in the country at the time. I think we're like top 2 now. And so I went and I continued on studying philosophy, got into exercise science. I minored in ballet and I minored in theater. So I started to really understand the difference between the science of biomechanics, physiology, performance, and then the flow of art and expression and the beauty and the vulnerability of ballet and expression of theater, and then the philosophy. I just got hooked on Joseph Campbell, and that was it. I was all about that dude. So it took me 5 years, and I graduated with those degrees and moved to New York, because I'm not going home to Detroit, right? Because you're like, yo, I'm not going to go back that Eastern bloc. Man, it was like communism with my parents, man. I was locked in there, man. So I was like, I'm going to go to New York. Yeah. So I moved to New York, and was it just a complete mess? It was like letting the dog out, man. I was just like a mess. I lasted 3 years, got into some trouble, and moved back home with my tail between my legs. Hadn't home my dad. So now I'm like, oh God, Eastern, your parents. Oh, I told you shouldn't have moved to New York. I told you couldn't do anything. You're going to be out there and be a dancer. You're going to be a theater actor. Or you're going to be a big trainer. None of that work. Did it? Those parents, right? God love them, but whatever. You can't trade them in. They're yours. So I had a really humbling summer working with my dad. He taught me a lesson. He said, you're going to school away your education. You're going to go out there and mess around. he got me a job at a screw factory in Detroit. So with this great Big Ten university education, and I was very blessed, my parents paid for my education. I know it's really hard for some people. I was blessed that way, but he was going to show me the importance of being in this country and a work ethic. If you don't want to use your education, this is what you're going to do. This is what I did when I came to this country. My parents came. So I sorted screws for a summer. Literally, dude, I had the early shift, like 4 a.m. I'd be there. Literally, my dad was worked for Ford at the time, and he got me a job in one of the plants to teach me a lesson. So I'm getting to the fitness stuff. So you really, fitness is life, and it just, fitness is so much more. And that's the thing I teach coaches now is picking up a weight and putting it down means nothing now. It's anybody can do it. It's what's behind it. What are you trying to express? What are you trying to give out to the world? What are you feeling? It's so much more. So what happened was that summer, as fate would have it, there's this big theater company called the Nederlanders. Joseph Nederland. They own all the theaters in the country. And one of my cousins saw me so miserable. She goes, why don't you audition for this Tony and Tina's wedding? And this plays a big part in my fitness career. And why I say all group theater needs to be dinner theater. All group fitness should be dinner theater. And if you're not connecting and letting people respond back to you, you're just yelling at them, you're a computer screen. You might as well stop doing what you're doing. And I have this big lecture on why group fitness needs to be dinner theater. So I ended up doing dinner theater, and it ended up being this huge success. So the Nederlanders go, we're going to take you to LA. You're going to be the Tony in LA, and all your dreams are going to come true. Well, we all know that's a bunch of BS. So I moved to LA. I love the Nederlanders, but I moved there, and they go, oh, we're not going to do the show now. Here, I'm stuck in LA. Stuck. My dad, again, come home to daddy. The whole,
Sure.
You know what I'm saying? And now I'm like 27. So I'm like, I'm not going home. It's not going to happen. So believe it or not, from the age of 20, well, actually, 27 and 28 was 2000 was doing the big, Y2K was supposed to rule in the world. I remember I was in LA that month when I moved there. It did, obviously. And I basically started to live out of my car because I was in such a place of, I'm never going to be good enough. I suck. I'm not worthy of these degrees. I'm not worthy of my parents' legacy and belief in me. And LA is such a wasteland for lost souls. I don't know if you've ever been to LA. It's a beautiful town. It's a great city, but I also call it the most heartbreaking city in America because there's so many lost dreams and hopes there. And I started to become part of that. And I started to get into drinking and drugs and the wrong crowd and that whole blame everybody but yourself, and I had a lot of ups and downs, and just to fast forward, because this is what really did it for me. I'll never forget, it was a week before Christmas and I couldn't come home. I didn't have any money. My father stopped. You pay for college. That's it. You're on your own. Figure it out, right? So I was on a week bender of drugs and alcohol. And I tell this story every lecture. We'll get into how I lecture at studios all over the world. But I tell this story every time because I always say, when you teach, you have to come from your why every time, and you'll never have a bad class, and you'll never not be connected to what you're doing. I think we calculated how many classes have I taught now? Almost 15,000 group classes in my career, and over 200,000 people or plus. And I never have a bad class because this one moment in my life changed my life forever. I was 34, so I really blew almost 28 to 34 was just a blur. I don't even remember it, bro. Like I was a mess. I was Robert Downey times 10 because I didn't have any money. So it's like, I didn't have nobody bailing me out, no agents, no lawyers. I was a mess, right? So it was Christmas, day before Christmas. And I remember that day, my cousin called me and he said, we're sad you're not coming home. And I was high as a kite. And so he knew it. So he called my dad. And my dad called me that day. And it was the first time I heard his voice break. Every time I tell this story, man. And he said, son, we didn't come to this country for you to end up like this. And he started to break, his voice broke. And he said, I want you to wake up and I want you to get up and I want you to make it happen. His favorite saying was, in America, you can make it happen. My whole childhood, America, you can make it happen. Make it happen, son, make it happen. And so he said it. And I walked to I lived on the beach, Beachcomber. And I walked to the Venice Beach and I put my hand in the ice cold sand because it was December and my feet took my shoes off and I held plank. That's why even when I teach plank, it's so emotional for me. And I closed my eyes. And what what felt like 6 hours. Like I held the longest plank ever. I don't think I ever could hold a plank that long my whole life. You know that moment your life just goes, you see everything from the day you were born to the bullying, to the failing out of school, to finally getting in and getting an ego, to breaking women's hearts, to getting your hearts broken, all the shit you went through, not good enough, never be enough, won't be anything, da, da, da. And then I heard this word pop in my head, hope, and my eyes open. True story. And I figured it out. I want to spend the rest of my life giving people hope that if they're brave enough to fail, if they're brave enough to express themselves fully in front of others, they can be anything they want. What is fitness? You're in a room full of strangers, you're going to failure. You're making a fool of yourself at times in front of people you've never met. And when you leave, you feel untouchable. So funny thing, when I made that, it was just the universe. It was literally like overnight success. I met a girl, and she's like, you got to meet this guy. He's doing this new kind of training on a variable tension machine. It's weightlifting sort of, but Pilates, hybrid. And I'm like, you know what? I've trained all this. I learned performance. I learned Olympic lifting. I learned weightlifting. I learned regular Pilates. I learned yoga. I learned Tai Chi. I learned Qigong. Nothing to satisfy me. It wasn't creative enough. Then I saw the machine and I was like, I see what I've been searching for. The art, the science, the intensity, stuck in a room so I can give it the theater that I love, right? So she got me certified, and I'll fast forward this, got me certified, and no one would hire me because I was so quiet and shy. And there was only one studio at the time. So another year passed, I got a job washing dishes because I was going to stay on this path. I was going to get a job. I was going to get a little studio, bachelor apartment with a little toilet and a little hot plate. And I'm just going to freaking make it work because I have a focus now. I'm going to give people hope no matter what it takes. Year passes, ring, ring, ring. Now there are 3 studios of this type of method only in the world, only 3 right now. Up to this point now, I think there's over 400. Now there's probably more because there's different variations of the equipment by other manufacturers. So who knows? It's about 1,000. Anyways, long story short, hello, Kai. I'll never forget her voice, man. You know how you feel that voice that makes you, I go, yeah. Are you going to be here for Christmas? I'm like, yeah. Well, so-and-so can't work. Would you mind coming in and subbing? And it was like, that was my Tom Brady come off the bench moment.
Yeah.
I spent my whole life studying the science, studying the certs, studying every possibility move, ballet, tap, jazz, modern, studying theater, studying philosophy, studying neuromuscular connection. And I blew it up. And then I got my call. So this is a great story. And this is all for all you young group fitness coaches that freeze or feel like you can't do it, or you feel like people you don't have anything to say to them. I'm telling you, you have something to say. You have a story to give them and they want to hear it. So I get there and it's LA. So people are walking in and they're like, yeah, who's the new guy? You know, LA, you know? And I love LA. It was 18 years of my life. But anyways, I got to call you out a little bit, LA. So, and I'm like shivering. I'm just like, and because we're Eastern European, my grandfather always told me, you wear a suit to work, son. You wear a suit. So I bought an Adidas track suit. Because in my mind, that was a suit. There was no Lululemon. There was none of this fancy stuff. There was no Under Armour. It was like, this is a suit. So I walk in with my Run DMC, all black. I have hair like down on my back, long ponytail. And I'm going to teach this kind of high intensity hybrid Pilates thing. So everyone's in there and the class is sold out because it was the day after Christmas. It wasn't me, let's be honest. I can't stand when I hear trainers, come to my class. Yo, it's their class. You happen to be guiding the heroes, which is your clients. That's what I always tell. We teach this a lot in the GFA Academy. It's all about them being the guide and you, the coach, the hero. And we've seen this shift now with all the online stuff. Do what I do. Watch what I do. Look at me. Man, your job isn't to be looked at. Your job is to get the client to do what they want to do, man. So anyways, so I get in there. They're all staring at me. And I just start to hear those voices. Again, you suck, you're not ready, you'll never do anything, you might as well go home to Detroit, blah, 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 blah. You're right, you're a mama's boy, you're done. I close my eyes and I remember that voice, hope, and my father's voice when he said, we didn't come to this country. And bro, I turned that volume fucking so loud, excuse my French, sorry, you're so fine. Loud. I turned around, opened my eyes, and it was literally 28 years of just, Like, I mean, bro, it was literally, and when I was done, you couldn't hear a peep. And the L.I.F.T Method was born then. You couldn't hear a peep.
Well, some would say you're never done, and you're still talking to this day.
Yeah, I am. I am still. I'm still
here,
baby. Yes, sir. So they walked out, and then we'll get to. I'll repeat it up, but this is important because we all have to have the key to group fitness is start opening a story, you guys, and closing a story. It's a story now. You want to know how you bring back your brand? Stop being a workout and making it a story, make it an experience. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But the story. So I get in my car, everyone leaves, and not a word said to me. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go home. I'm done. I'm basically, well, shoot, I'm 34. I'm living in a bachelor apartment with a toilet in the middle of the room and a hot plate. And I have a degree from this great university, and I'm just going to Detroit. I'm just going to work for my dad or something. That's what Eastern Europeans do, right? You work for your family. Yay! So I get in my car. I have now enough money for a car. It's a little pickup truck. And the phone rings, and it's the owner. Okay. Hey, hi. God. Yes. What did you do? You know, I just thought I'd do something different than no one ever did before. My vision of what I thought group fitness and this kind of workout could be. She pauses. She goes, I don't know what you did. I don't care what you did. How many classes do you want? We'll start you at $50 a class. Can you start tomorrow? And within 2 weeks, lines out the door. Within a month, paparazzi, because once word sparked, then you get the actors and this and that. Then I got the Lakers. Then I opened my own brand with a partner. And that didn't work out. And then I had to do another one. That didn't work out. Then I got the TV show. And blah, 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 blah. Then I moved to Austin, and now I'm in Miami.
That is a story. I will tell you. Wow. Well, that's as far as fitness stories go, that is certainly the most unique that I've ever heard. But what I will say, I have a similar story, not so much in all the trials and tribulations leading into it, but just being fearful of doing something different, right? And being around people who are doing something one particular way. And then eventually, when you break that shell and when you're working for yourself and your clients and not worried about the periphery, that's when it comes together. And that's when you start to really build a fitness business. And before we get into that, I just want to say the most frustrating thing for me now during this pandemic is not being around other really good group fitness class instructors and personal trainers like yourself, because that's like such a part of the industry. It's watching other people who are really good at what they do, really passionate, not necessarily copying them, but just seeing, oh, that guy's being himself. He's being genuine. He cares about his clients. He is really pushing the limits and discovering something in himself and his clients and making something. And that's what drives, at least that's what drove me to become a better personal trainer. And I almost feel bad for the people now who can't see that, right? Because they're only working either virtually or with clients. They can't look around them and find a mentor like you.
Well, that's kind of why we started the Group Fitness Academy. That's a great segue. You were good. And we can get more into that. But that's the whole purpose. Is when I saw this shift, and here's the thing, like, I'm not going to say, I'm Mr. Kumbaya. Like, there were moments in my career where I've been over 50 magazines and I trained all these pro athletes. My ego was huge and I believed my Kool-Aid. But thank to God, both times my ego got too big. I lost my business or something. My partner said, you're out. And I respected that. Or like something went down to wake me up. And what that wake up call was for me was the next level from my level. As far as group fitness, I think I literally went as high as you could go. But now it was waking up to go, give back. Like when I got the NBC show, it was, 10 best trainers in the world, 10 methods and blah, blah, blah. And it tanked, right? It was on it to The Voice. It was supposed to be the new Sylvester Stallone. And it's huge, the next biggest loser. And I thought this was it. Then the universe tanked it for a reason to teach me that my next step in life is to teach others. Before I hoarded my ideas, I hoarded my methods. Deadlifting on a reformer, what are you doing? You'll never know. Eccentric only, concentric training, like tempos, intervals. But then I'm like, what am I doing? My girl Jody and my business partner, she was like, babe, you don't want to take this to your grave. You love coaches as much as you love clients. Why aren't you giving them that same love? And I went, oh my God. So when we moved to Austin, I moved to Austin to start a brand that was supposed to be worldwide. That was the deal. And it didn't work out again. A partnership fell apart, whatever it happens, right? And I have nothing but positive things to say about that brand. And I wish them well. And we just didn't fit, you know? And so we were stuck in Austin. I had a guaranteed contract that was just stopped. And here I am in Austin now. I left LA where I was, you know, the guy and all my clients and in the gyms, and now I'm here. So my partner Jody goes, yo, why don't we start traveling and you can go and do like this kind of like, you know, like Tony Robbins meets like, you know, like NASM meets, you know, like this whole kind of full floor just for group fitness. You know, we always say the riches are in the niches. So I was focusing just on the machine-based world, which is what brought me to all my success, right? So that was the key. It was like this is a profession. And I think now with the online stuff, though kind of those trainers, although their intentions are right, I think they're missing the boat. You have to break the fourth wall now more than ever. You have to really see those clients. It's not you lay on your back doing hip bridges for 20 minutes and asking for money. You know, it's really trying to use the camera so you can even tell more stories and connect like we are here while you're training. So we developed this course called the Entertrainment Project. Go from trainer to entertrainer, right? So using all these ideas of philosophy and alter ego and Shakespeare and then matching it with, you know, group fitness, and then, you know, understanding all the, you know, we're also accredited by NASM and AFA. So we're CEU accredited courses. So I love them. I just actually did their Optima thing this year. So I got to present there. So I love, they're the best of the best, and surround yourself with the best. But that was my biggest issue, was when the COVID hit, everyone ran online, which is smart. I get it. But you weren't changing anything. You were just doing what you in your bedroom, just doing movements. And that's why Peloton moves in. That's why Tonal comes in. And that's why the other one, the Mirror, are kicking our asses, because they're creating an experience. And you can do that if you just think, like you said, differently. Right?
Yeah, that's exactly right. And I use the term creating a high value experience in my fitness business 101 book. When you work with clients, it's an experience. They're not just paying you for the information. They can find the information elsewhere. You have to create the experience and the connection in that particular session, and that will last you forever. You can have 5 or 6 or 7 clients, right? Whether you're personal training or whether you're in group fitness, and that can make your whole career if you're just trying to make it by, right? You don't need 1 million clients. If you're doing it right, they will stick with you forever. And they will spread word of mouth to everybody else, and you will make enough money. You have to work on yourself and become a better group instructor first, before your goal is just to run out and get clients, because you're going to lose them. You're not going to know what to do.
100%. I couldn't agree more. I think, you know, we always say it's not a workout, it's an experience. And at the end of the day, it's not what you do or how you do it, but why you do it, and then how you make them feel is what they're going to remember. Great workout, bad workout, sore, not sore, that comes and goes depending on diet and rest. Let's be honest. Let's really strip it down. There are 3 planes of action, right? There are 3 types of contractions, right? Eccentric, and then that's pretty much it. So stop thinking you're so special. The client is special. The room is special. What you're doing for the world is special. You're bringing strangers together and saying, hey, let's suffer together. Let's be honest, CrossFit, I did that in high school. It's calisthenics with Olympic lifting and some push-ups. But what was it? He made people suffer together. Yep. It was brilliant, right? Soul Cycle, same thing. We gave you 50 things in a room, bikes in a room, and said we're gonna tap into your inner self, because we know when you exert yourself, you're open to that, and then we're gonna meditate at you. I mean, come on, it's just spinning. The bike hasn't changed in 50 years. You guys, wake up, all you group fitness people out there. People need people. Don't worry about the camera. You can have this in your business. Do Trulyfit. But we're going to be back in the gyms, and the ones that create this story loop, that create this experience, are the brands that are going to change the game, and the rest are going to be stuck online, pissed off, wondering why they're still online. Because as human beings, we need each other. And I don't care. Once the vaccine, all this stuff is done, we're rushing out. We are.
Listen, I'm with you. And that's a big, this is another conversation for another day, but the whole certification thing is quite annoying at this point, because you have all these people. I mean, you could basically be certified in 24 hours for something, right? And you have all these people who then tell you that they're certified and they're ready to train. It's like, are you though? I mean, there's no shadowing process. What exactly are you bringing to the table outside of book knowledge? Because that is 1/10 of what you're going to need to run a good session. And I think it's lost. It's really lost amongst the young trainers. And I've interviewed people before who came in and their resume looked like something that I could never accomplish, right? I'm talking 2 different master's degrees, kinesiology, sports medicine. They had 12 different certifications. It must have cost them like their life savings to get these certifications. But I put them through a practical and had them walk through a 20-minute TRX fitness class, and it was horrible, right? Your resume needs to take a back seat to your actual real world experience if you're a young trainer, and you need to find a mentor, and you need to shadow, and you need to find your voice, much like you did, right? Find what your voice is and then pair that with your skill set. You don't need to, not everyone is going to be Kai, right? Not everyone's going to be out of 10, but they need to find what works for them and develop that and do it slowly. Because if you're going to go from 0 clients to 100 clients, you're going to lose all 100 clients because you don't know who you are yet.
Dude, I couldn't agree more. Like when I was in my, what I gotta know was, oh yeah, the NASM gym turns and all that. I love all that. What they're doing. And that's the thing, like, why is it? And maybe you could, because you're a really smart dude, man. Why is it that if you go to become a lawyer, you got to go to law school on top of your undergrad, and then you got to take an exam, and then it's still a practice? When you go to become a doctor, you got to go to undergrad, you got to go to med school, and then it's a practice. But you can take a 2-hour certification online, and you're a professional trainer, and anybody come up with a certification. Like 99% of the methods in America today aren't backed with any credentials. Thank God NASM is here to say these are the ones you need to be with. They're actually accredited. But you can just open up a gym and go, it's the John method, and just start selling people certifications. Like, why can't there be any body that regulates this?
Yeah, I mean, there's a part of me that doesn't like regulation, but for this instance, it's too decentralized, right? You have all these people making up certifications going around. I see them every day. Now, I saw somebody yesterday who just basically made up some sort of yoga certification, completely made it up, right? I think they had 1 year experience, and then they called it basically like the Joanne yoga experience, right? And she made up a yoga certification. So it's like people will then pay $800 to learn her way, and then they'll tell everyone else they're certified. But it's like the general public is dealt a disservice because they don't know what is good and what is not, right? They don't know the difference between somebody who just got their whatever ISSA and NSPA, and they don't know. So I'm with you. They should should somehow all come together. There should be a little bit more regulation, or regardless of which certification you get, you should have to have, let's say, 100 shadowing hours in different sort of things, right? So like imagine somebody had 20 shadowing hours in group fitness, and then they had 20 in personal training, and then they had 20 specifically in yoga, and 20 specifically in Pilates, whatever, right? And they had a little bit everywhere. That would allow them to at least know you have a baseline understanding of like what's going on in the industry. But I don't know who would enforce that. So
yeah, exactly, right. Right now everyone has a title to open their own business, and that they happen to choose health and wellness. I mean, that's what they do. But I think that's why I love the way we built the GFA Academy and the courses. We started, the first courses, Entertainment Project, is all about teaching you how to find your superhero and teach group fitness, because that's the biggest issue with the personal training. Is kind of easy, right? Not easy, but I mean, you just got to go up to somebody. It's one-on-one. But to literally, what's the word I want to use? To really captivate. That's the word. A group. And in my world, you have 15 different gyms going at the same time. They're not on the floor. So you have all these different levels, and the machines are moving that they fall, they crack their head open. So you have to captivate the audience. You have to know your choreography. You have to know how to work the room. You have to know where to stand. You have to know your science. So we created this first for you to even get to if you're interested in my L.I.F.T Method certification, to learn my low impact functional training on spring-based equipment, you have to first learn how to teach it my way. Because if you're not going to be grand and tell stories, then I'm not interested in teaching you my method. And that's saying, because it has to be delivered a certain way. Like, don't deliver me a pizza. Like, I want you, when I go to New York, I want you throwing the dough in the air. I want it to be a show. Don't just be like, put in the microwave and throw a slice at me. Right. And so that's our first course. And the second course we do, and that actually applies to any really modality. We don't really get into the spring work till you get to the L.I.F.T cert. Right now, it's just how to really find your superhero and we call it brand wash clients. And here's a big one I'm sure you know about. Yo, wake up. You're not a muscles. You're not muscles. You're a brand. Who are you? Like, what is your why? What are you trying to do as a brand? Like, stop thinking of yourself as someone who's fit. I tell people, forget fit. Like, I don't care how fit you are. Right? Like, I can make you fit. When I used to work with all the actors, the agent would tell me, we can teach her to act, just get her thin, right? Or I'm like, okay, I go in, I get paid my money and I get them thin, and all of a sudden they win an Oscar, right? So it's like the coaches, especially in group, you guys stop teaching group like you're doing one-on-ones in front of a Zoom meeting or private personal training. It's a totally different muscle. You know what I mean? It's like Olympic lifting is totally different than powerlifting, right? One has one is strength and one is about, the applying, blowing them up, blowing the weight up. It's totally different. It's heavy. It's the barbell's the same, but a squat, a deadlift, and a bench press is much different than a clean jerk. It's a totally different application.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you. I think group fitness is much harder than personal training. It's weird because if you go to a facility, a lot of times you'll get paid more to personal train. So if you're between one or the other and you have both, you're like, well, why would I go into that class that is 20 people? Inevitably, maybe 19 will like it, but if one of them doesn't, they're going to complain. And then I can just go work with this one person over here and they're going to give me $20 more an hour or something. So group fitness, but brings a different element because number one, you need energy to run a group fitness class, right? You don't need all of that energy to run a personal training, but obviously the scalability now is more, right? So if you have 20 people in your class and you're charging them each $20, that is a lot of money, right? You're not going to be able to charge a personal training session for $400. So that's where that money component comes in, and which makes it better. But I want to get to the L.I.F.T method, but first I want to give you my background.
Yeah, sorry.
So when I first started in the industry, I had a certification, didn't really know what I was doing, went to a gym. Actually, I handed my resume out to like every gym in town. And one lady gave me a call back and she's like, listen, you can work here, but you have to shadow Pilates for 5 hours a day for 6 months. And I was like, okay, like I had no other option. So I shadowed her and the reformer and her work on the reformer every day.
Was it Allegro, Cadillac, was it?
It was a Cadillac.
Cadillac, big one. Yeah.
It was the.
Those are hard to teach on, man.
Yeah, it was a peak Pilates, sort of like older wooden. It had like leather straps,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So it had the leather straps where like if you need to like change the arms of the legs underneath, you would actually have to like undo a screw cap, and then it was like a belt underneath, right? You'd have to like move the leather strap underneath and then like rescrew the cap in. So, but it was sort of like the catalyst to the rest of my fitness career because I learned a different way to look at things. Before, yes. I'd always been a bro beforehand, right? Just lifting weights. And now I saw a totally different way of doing things. And then what I did, which is going to lead to you now, is for the rest of my fitness career, I used the reformer to help my clients. I didn't do classical Pilates, right? I'm not snapping my fingers. I'm not cueing you on every movement. I'm not telling you need to have your ribs imprinted all the time. Like I'm using it how I think I need to use
diaphragm. Yeah,
exactly. I'm not throwing the diaphragmatic breathing down your breath all the time. I'm going to use it how I need to. And sometimes that was using it with 73-year-old clients who had, knee replacements. And all I wanted to do is put them supine and press back and forth because it was easier, right? Having that spring-loaded tension is much easier than having them squat in any other way. And sometimes I had, my best athletes or my 26-year-old moms who were in fantastic shape on there doing the hardest exercises imaginable that I couldn't replicate any other way except on the reformer. But people in that Pilates room looked at me like, I'm crazy. What is this guy doing? How is he not just doing like classical Pilates? So when I saw your videos, I said, this is amazing. I'm so glad somebody finally did this in a way that uses the machine in every manner possible, right? You're not limited. If you think of something and you say, this is what we want to do today on here, because I believe this is going to be best for my client, you're going to do it. So lead us into your L.I.F.T method now.
That's great, man. First of all, I'm proud of you, man. I know I really liked you. All the young coaches and trainers out there, remember, if it's a band, a kettlebell, a barbell, body weight, TRX, reformer, X-former, whatever it is, it's still just a tool. It's the body's the machine and the client is what you're trying to guide. It's just a tool. And I love people who are like, well, it's a car. Well, how many options do you have in your car? I don't care. Does it get you from A to B? Yeah, we good, right? So L.I.F.T started because I got certified by the originator of the kind of high intensity Pilates world. And from him, he created the Megaformer. And from him, there's the Solid Cores. There's always other spin-offs. But after I met him, he was still very Pilates based in his mind thinking. And I was so into performance functional work because of my modern dance and my ballet and, all this stuff. I was like, yo, man, I'm going to go. So after I broke and got all the press and everything, I had a client open a gym with me in Marina Del Rey. And that's what really launched me to, pro athletes and movie stars and TV and all that stuff. And that's when I really started to take apart every single move at the gym and realize that all this is a total gym. It's Chuck Norris. It's a Chuck Norris total gym with way heavier springs, a way bigger carriage, and it's a much smoother. So there's zero impact on any of the body or friction in the movement. And it was all steel. So I started to understand, then I started when I got my CrossFit certifications, because if you're a trainer and you judge any method, you're losing out. I want to learn. It hurts. I can't do CrossFit. I get my ass kicked. All you CrossFitters, you're incredible. Much love. I don't like it, but I love the sequencing. I love the patterns. I love what he's putting together and giving it names and things. And so then I started to do the same stuff on the X-former, this hybrid super machine, right? And I started to see results in, interval timing patterns, 10 by 10s, and this is all the stuff, Tabata stuff and then I started to realize, and you probably figured this out, in this realm on the variable tension, you can actually really focus on eccentric loading because it does off the back. You can't eccentric load unless you're using bands in the gym. Concentric loading, double time. Remember, the front of the gym, you have 3 gyms in one, the way these are made now. You have eccentric loading off the back, pulling against you as you're moving. You're always off the machine, so you're always having to work your proprioception all the time. And it's all about either fast or slow rate of force, which you can't do at the gym. You're just trying to rep it out all the time. And even if you are going slow, right, you're not really having anything unless you do the bands or chains, right? That's different. But still, a real thing, a real spring is much more interesting on the muscle than a band or a chain, in my opinion, because we can create so much more tension. So I started to create L.I.F.T, and then people were like, they were going through, because like the girl I did on the show had the #1 transformation, size 12 to a size 2. No running, jumping, or lifting.
Wow.
And her performance went from bottom 8 to #1. Of course, they didn't tell me I had to perform too, so I got my ass kicked. And you're missing strong, guys. I suck. I know it, but I was the best coach here. I was just the worst athlete. That's all. But so when we moved to Austin, and then we started coaching, because people were calling me up going, I'm not happy with this Pilates. People like you would, and me, they'd put their life savings and buy into a license or a franchise, and then they'd go figure it out. And then they wouldn't know what to do, so they'd teach Pilates. So you're buying a machine that's $10,000, $12,000, not 2. And then you're paying a fee to franchise or license, and then they're going to figure it out. So people are like, I want to know what that crazy guy did on NBC, that workout. That's like, it's hard as CrossFit, but no impact. So they were calling me up and saying, hey, would you come teach us your method? And Jody's like, well, why don't we? So I started writing everything down. I was like, okay, let's create it. And then, and then I approached NASM, and they were like, yeah, we love this stuff. We'll give you the CEUs. And so then we started lecturing gyms. So then we started licensing my method to gyms, because I'm not saying it's better than Pilates, but I'm saying, don't you want to add that? Like you said, you do weights, but you also learn Pilates. If you have Pilates, why don't you learn L.I.F.T too? What's the big deal? Have more. But this ego, Pilates has this air. It's not traditional. It's not traditional.
Yeah.
What, in today's world, what the hell is traditional, bro?
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I've always been a bit of a rebel, as obviously you have too. So
Yeah,
that style just doesn't fit me, but it doesn't
yeah,
also make sense for the clients. It's like, wait, so you're telling me because this wasn't taught in classical Pilates that I can't use the reformer to do this if I know for a fact it's safe and my
yeah,
client enjoys it? I'm
yeah,
gonna do it. Like this is
yeah,
what I'm
exactly.
gonna do. So yeah, I'm with you. I actually, now thinking back to those days of using the reformer, because I haven't used it in probably a year and a half, just because of how life's changed and more of my business is online. I don't work with anyone doing the reformer, but thinking back to those days, being in a room with those other trainers, I still think even if they saw you and what you were doing, they would be hesitant to like switch over, because they're just dyed in the wool for life classical Pilates.
Yeah. And even when I show them statistics now, and let me finish this thought and I'll give you this idea. But so we started to coach coaches how to teach like I teach, and then the method. And so then we have 10 studios all over the world. And we want to keep it small. We're not trying to be, but and really kind of mentoring these studios with this way of training. And they saw huge successes. Like they tripled everything. Like when they shift over from traditional to this, right? And then COVID hit and they all got shut down. So then the one we coached in New York called Form 50 called us up and said, hey, what would it take for you to move from Austin to Miami, come out of retirement and teach again? And I went, well, I'm in Austin. I can't travel anymore. I can't go visit all my gyms anymore, 10 gyms that we were coaching and mentoring and I had licenses with. So I'm like, we'll do it. So we moved down to Miami 3 months ago. And I'm back teaching and I'm evolving the entire method now because I'm in the trenches. We have a new customized machine with double the tension springs than any other machine on the planet. So it's really like I mean like 500-600 pounds of raw variable tension now. The machine's longer, so we have a longer pull. It's crazy what we're doing now. And so I'm back teaching again. And what's funny is now all the science is coming out on how variable tension, you see it now in the gym, chains, bands on top of the bars, how that is, that we now know that the body in its strongest range can handle 7 times your body weight. So literally you're underloading in the gym. You're living under your potential, which goes against my why, right? I want you to live your potential. So the idea is if the joints are safe and with variable tension, right, it adjusts to your weakest point and it's going to challenge you at your strongest point. We can truly get the adaptation that you truly deserve and need to burn the calories and get the muscle performance that you want. And then you add in the super slow movements versus explosive, because no one's doing fast twitch. I am, because this things are so heavy you can. And it's like changing people's whole neuromuscular connection. And then you're balancing the whole time. Yeah. On top of the machine. Yeah. So it's like I'm doing, and then what we're finding is that now they go and lift weights, because I love everything. I'm like, go lift weights, go do Pilates, go CrossFit, their performance. And now it's out. There's actually studies that show this now. They did it in NFL players, they did it in baseball players and NBA players, that your overall performance, because of the variable tension, you're recruiting so much more than when you go do static weights. It's like exponential how strong you're getting. It's crazy.
I believe it. And as somebody who's used variable tension and really likes it, it's not only the variable tension, which is one of the main, if not the main component, but just the equipment itself. There's nothing you can't do on it. There's absolutely nothing you can't do on it. I would say if you were to tell me right now, box me in and say you have one piece of equipment to use and you have to train clients for the rest of your life, I may pick that, because I just know for a fact that I won't be missing anything. I can do rotational, I can do lunge movements, I can do squat movements, I can do push, I can do pull, I can do hinge, I can combine those movements. And at the same time, I can get your heart rate up. So
at different rates of force too, which, when you're on the floor, you only have one rate, as fast as you can. I mean, you can kind of go slow, but there's no loading, right? So you can't really, when you do the lunges on the machine and you go super slow off the back, that's where you really get that posterior chain just lighting up. The real glute, not your quads. You're not working your glutes, it's your quads. And honestly, I'm telling you, stop squatting. But that RDL, that feeling of the RDL, right, with that spring. And this is why. So when we came out here, we didn't do any advertising. We just kind of opened. And word got out. I've got more physique competitors and bodybuilders in my class now than I ever have, because they really understand this mind muscle connection and the benefit of keeping their joints safe, and really getting that deep hypertrophy that they really long for. And they're finding out that when they go lift their weights, that they're just seeing huge improvement. So literally it's becoming like the muscle Miami Beach class now. I teach this 8 a.m. And it's like, well, I walk in, I mean, like this, like it is all women too, these women, because they really are in tune with flow more than men. Bodybuilders are really flow, but Arnold did ballet. People forget that. Like they don't realize why he was so great. He studied ballet, he studied Shakespeare. Like, and they can't figure out why there's never been another Arnold, because everyone went one way. The dude understood the yang and the yin, right? So the class in Miami is called 450 Fitness in Miami. I am teaching 5 days a week. I'm evolving the method. The cert is now official. We're doing the cert. And it's just been amazing to teach again after 4 years of teaching owners and coaches, which is still do. We still have owners in our inner circle right now. We're getting ready. There's some in Texas and some in Ohio. But to be back and have a lab again, you know what I'm talking about. You know what I'm talking about. Having a lab again with people that want to go hard as shit in Miami. It's a different mentality. This is too heavy. It's like, that's all you got. It's a different kind of culture out here because they are so fierce here. And they're so thinking outside the box. They want something different. You know, they're not looking for the cool workout, looking for the one that's going to really be different and give them the edge. You know what I'm talking about?
Totally. So, my sister lives in South Beach, and I was down there, pre-pandemic. I've been down there since, but I was down there pre-pandemic and took a fitness class. I'm not going to say the name of it now. I'll tell you off camera, but yeah, it was actually awesome. It was an awesome concept. It was a concept that I'd never thought of in group fitness. And I was going to replicate that just in a much better way, right? Just, that's what we do. We see things we like and say, like, how can I fix 2 or 3 different things and make it a little bit better? But, the pandemic hit, and the business model really is only like a volume thing, right? You need hundreds of people coming through that door on a weekly basis. And that's hard right now. Maybe it won't. So it's on the back burner, but it's still something I want to do because, like you said, I miss being in the lab. I miss being around the people. I miss being under the gun. I miss tweaking things, and I miss showing people that we're going to make this creative every day, and we're going to make this enjoyable, because you don't get that through the computer, unfortunately.
What profession, and this is to all y'all out there who are thinking about becoming group fitness instructors or personal trainers or strength coaches, because we teach, it's all the same to me. It's all the same to me. It's all the same. Where can you do a profession where you get to go to work every day and connect with 15, 20, 30, 40, 50 strangers and make them feel like they matter? That's why, I got, when I popped big, they were like, why don't you just do, like some of the peers that I came up with, like, why don't you just do, $500 a session personal training? Because that's not what got me here. That's not what saved my life. It was the idea that anybody could come into this room and realize their superpower, and I could help them find that. And to this day, it's why I don't have why I'm 49. I'll probably teach group for another 20 years before I stop, because there's always one person that you never know who you're going to reach in that class, and you do, because you're just focused so much on giving. And I think with the COVID and the pandemic, that's why we created the GFA Academy for all you trainers and fitness coaches out there, to start thinking differently about your equipment, about the room, and about the client and the experience. It's a story. You got to tell a story, man. Like you and I today, we're telling stories. I'm not telling you about how much I can lift or all my degrees or how many magazines. Who gives a? It's 2 guys who want to change the world through movement, telling stories. That's the future of fitness, period.
I'm with you. And that's my goal. That's why I wrote Fitness Business 101. And again, the subtitle.
Hey, can you send me a copy of it? I'd love to read it.
Of course, yeah. And the subtitle is What the Certifications Don't Teach You. And really, that's what the book is about. It's not just the certifications. You need to understand how to work with people. You need to understand yourself and who you are and what features that you are going to best use to then ignite your business and ignite your personality. Because, maybe if you're somebody who is what I call like a direct teacher, you're a genius, right? You can look at the body, you're an anatomical sleuth. You can say, oh, this is off and that's off. Maybe group fitness isn't for you. Like, maybe you should be a physical therapist, right? Because you have to bring another level of personality when you do these things. And unless you know that, then you're setting yourself back, because there is client relations is always more important than whatever education you have.
We always, when we used to do the in-person studios, now we do it online, obviously, until we can get back in there. But one of the things we do with all the coaches is we tell them, like, there's an alter ego in every single one of us. And you are drawn to this because of your alter ego. It may not be showing right now, you may be a dud, but the fact that you want to do this, and my job as your coach is to figure out where that person is, bring it out of you. And then every time you teach, you put her on or you put him on. And then you can go back to whoever. I'm like, I'm the same way. Like, when I step in, I do a few, I still to this day, I say hope. I close my eyes. I'm going to hear my dad's voice and I say hope. And I turn around and I teach. 200,000 people later and all these classes later. Huh? The class, today's class. That's a good one. So shit goes wrong, man. So like I forgot about this one. So you guys, you got to love the imperfection of what it is. You're not supposed to be perfect. The abs, yeah, be fit. You should look the part, but please be human. What draws us to people, think about actors. The ones that are the most fucked up are the ones we love because they're human. Why did reality TV destroy the film industry? Because we saw real people messed up. Same thing like with group fitness. The brand that starts to show less of the super trainer, I'm the best, I have all this pedigree, and people who are just trying to figure life out and communicate and tell stories, and things go wrong. It's okay, because today, for example, my voice went out. So I'm doing this Prolon. You ever heard of Prolon? It's fast. Yeah. Bro, it's so hard, man. I love Prolon. It takes 2 years off your internal life. I understand all this shit, but I like 3,000 calories a day. I just do. And this like 500 calories a day, soups and teas is not my jam. So my voice went out this morning at 6 a.m. Went out. Right? Sold out class. Right? So what did I do? I just started making jokes like, and for like 20 minutes, I was just cracking jokes, and had to use my hands and made them. And then my voice came back and the music and sound went out in the gym. Now, this kind of training is very expensive. It's not like it's, not a $10, So, And so what did I start doing? I started singing Christmas carols. And guess what? We were in friggin', what month is it? February, sweating, shaking, twitching, and I'm singing Jingle Bells with no mic. The point is, like, imperfection, embrace it, embrace the fun, embrace people, and be human. That's, I believe, the next prototype to the coach. The new coach is going to be the one that is more about being human and less about being perfect. I think that was very 90s and 2000s when these CrossFit people are beautiful. Like, look at them, they're unbelievable. Like, their bodies are sick. Yeah, but that's very 2000. I really think this is the rise of people really understanding that it's about people being in the room together, because that's a big fear right now. We're afraid to get back around people. Right?
Yeah, and I'll add to that even more because everyone's working from home now. So you're missing that human connection and component. So you want to go see people, right? So I've never wanted more. When people call, usually when people call me and my wife and they're like, hey, you want to go get whatever, a glass of wine, or you want to go get dinner? I'm like, nah. After a long day of work, if I taught 4 TRX classes that each had 30 people in it, and then I had 6 clients after that, do you think I want to go see people? No. But now I can't wait to go see people, right? So many people are sitting home, they're working from home, they're at their computers, and their 1 hour out at that group fitness class is maybe the only time they're interacting with these people. So not only do you better be good, right? And the class better be worth it for the instructor, talking to the instructor, but you be ready, because people are going to come out of the woodwork. They're going to want to train.
Yeah, and don't go to your group fitness class as an instructor or coach and then Do it like you're doing the camera work. Get in there. Have your mask up, whatever the rules are. Follow the guidelines, absolutely. But get in there. They're dying for a correction. They're dying to be looked at. They're dying to be smiled at. They're dying for it. And when you do that, like literally, I'm sold out now. And there's no advertising. In 2 months, my street cred is like through the roof, and I haven't done anything yet. I haven't announced that I'm back teaching again because obviously fitness has been so close. So I want to do it down low. So it was like, yeah, I haven't even started telling people I'm back teaching again. So it's like, but they walk in, I'm right at them. Welcome. Oh my God, thank you. Like, come on in, tell me about you. Like, yo, guys, they want a place to feel welcome in and belong. That's all group fitness. For me, it was a place, fitness was my place where I felt the most true to myself, failing. But then when I got in the world, I couldn't fail. I was too afraid. I wouldn't try. I'd rather not do it. I just do drugs. It was easier. Get high. Why try for my PhD if I can't pass the test? Or why try this job or do that job? Or why? Oh no, I'll just get high. It's better. It's easier. But then when I would lift or run I'm old school. I like the Stairmaster too. Do my Stairmaster, I'm like, yo.
I think it's the most underrated cardio equipment. If it wasn't so big, I would have a Stairmaster in my house. It's just too big, but I think
I love that thing.
I love it. I much rather use a Stairmaster than use an elliptical.
Night and day, hands down.
Stairmaster to me is, if you're going to use the term like free motion, it essentially is, right? I'm only going in one direction, but at least my legs are not guided by, by mechanics, right? I'm moving my legs in the same fashion that I would move my own legs. So
yeah, in life when you're walking upstairs, right? It's something we do all the time. So it's like, how many people can't walk upstairs these days? It's like, come on, man. It's like, yeah, flexion, let's go. Bring your femur up. Walk. Yeah. Man, what else can I tell you? Are we good?
So I think we're good, man. This has been a plethora of information. Awesome stuff. We went over your background. We have the L.I.F.T Method. We went over a little bit of your school, but now I want you to plug all that stuff. Tell everybody from young trainers, because that's the people who I'm really trying to reach. Tell everyone from young trainers how they can get to your academy, but then go the other route and let the client or consumers know where they can find you also.
Oh man. All right. So Steve, this was amazing. So I want to thank you and all your listeners and everybody out there. If you are a coach, if you're thinking about becoming a coach being coach, trainer, whatever, group fitness, personal trainer, this is an opportunity like no other. Our business has been flatlined, and that's a good thing because now you have the opportunity to create whatever you want. And so because of that, we created the Group Fitness Academy. You can go to that and go to my website, kaievans.com, KYEVANS.com. And we have courses to help you truly find your superpower as a coach, as a group fitness instructor. And if you're into spring-based training, I'm officially now releasing my certification called the L.I.F.T Method. It's basically taking performance training, CrossFit type stuff, functional training, and putting it to a spring-based machine so there's no impact. So instead of burning 200-300 calories, you're burning 700-800 calories. Instead of lying on your back, you're doing deadlifts and RDLs against variable tension while you're balancing to increase your overall neuromuscular connection. I have all these crazy ideas. It's changing the world. It's what I use on the Strong Show that changed Brittany from a size 12 to a size 2 with no running, jumping, or lifting. And last but not least, if you're close to Miami, you better all come see me. Mention Trulyfit and I'll buy your class. I said, oh, okay, I will buy your class. If you follow me on Instagram, The Real, REAL, Kai Evans, follow me on Instagram, tell me you saw this, send me a message. And if you come to Miami, I'm now headlining and I'm back teaching after 4 years of retiring and only working with owners and coaches. I'm back teaching the public in Miami, in Midtown at form50fitness.com. Oh, and I'm also licensing my L.I.F.T Method to all spring-based studios out there. So I will do all the programming for you. I will teach you how we change the movement patterns and the movements on the machine. So if you have a spring-based machine and want to add this to your already traditional methods, like we can license it to you. We can do the programming. We can train the staff. everything. We do it all, man, because I really think variable tension is the future. And I think group fitness is going to save the world because it's what we need now, expressing ourselves around people.
Awesome information and energy from Kai. I will have all that information listed underneath the podcast so you can find the links and click directly to any of Kai's stuff. Kai, thanks again. And I hope everyone was taking notes there.
If you're not truly fit, you better become truly fit. I'll be watching, y'all. Thanks, Steve. You're amazing.